This is the Monday, January 10th meeting of Fairfield Solid Waste and Recycling Commission.
You go, it's January?
Excuse me?
I said Monday,
Did I
January.
say January? I should read what I have in front of me. This is the
Still jet lag, still jet lag.
Yeah.
6 months.
This is the June 10th meeting of the Fairfield Solid Waste and Recycling Commission. We're going to start, before I I'd like to call the meeting to order, and we'll start with the pledge. Curtis Hawk, you?
With the allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, the May 13th minutes were just sent out this afternoon. Does everyone have a chance to take a look at it? Because the first order of business would be, I'd like to entertain a motion to.
Do you have a hard copy?
What's that?
You have a hard copy?
You have a hard copy, yes. So there you go.
Of course.
I don't print out a whole lot of stuff, but they're on the. So when everyone's ready, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Okay. Ellie made the motion, and do I have a second?
Is the minutes for what, which meeting is
Oh,
it?
this is for the May 13th meeting.
Are they posted? Because as of this afternoon, there was
So
a.
they are not posted on the website. She sent them around. And, frankly, I was prepared, having not seen them before today, I was prepared to say we can hold off and vote for that and approve them in the September meeting.
Someone wasn't home and I didn't.
Okay, well, okay, then I'm gonna stick to the May 13th minutes. We'll wait until the September meeting to approve them.
Well, what she sent is kind of an incomplete, sort of a draft anyway.
Well, that's right. And we could take the time and try to, but it's minutes, before we've had many months before. In the meantime, I'll take another look at it. I just saw them myself and we'll see if we can.
I was gonna send some comments, but then if we all sent
Exactly.
comments that were a little different, then we were kind of
Yeah, and I made some notes of my own. I mean, the one issue was the visit to the OSP, which didn't turn out to be too great, but anyway, we'll hold that off until September. So I'll move to the next item on the agenda, and that's the director's report with John Cattell.
I passed out the tonnage report that you have. It's pretty much on track. Cycling looks like it's trending up a little bit more than it was last year, but right in the average of the 2 past years. That's pretty much straightforward with that. Any questions on tonnages reports? Hearing none?
really looks pretty uneventful.
All right, yeah, everything's just kind of pretty much average as it goes. So other news that we got, we had a transfer station bids operation open up on May 30th, which was originally scheduled for the May 29th. Request was an additional day due to the holidays. We opened up on the 30th of May. We had 2 vendors replying for operations and 1 vendor just for metal haul. So those are in review and analysis, and we'll report back next
So
week.
you already had 2 vendors for operations?
To operate and haul. And 1 vendor for just.
One of the current vendors is one of the vendors?
Yes. So we need to go through and do reviews and analysis.
Did we get a copy of the bid?
of the bid itself, it's online.
Okay. Is
You
it-
just, you can go
Oh, it
online.
is online,
Have you
okay.
seen it? Have we looked at it?
I did not know. I will be looking
The
at
whole,
that.
the whole bid that went out
It's
was
online.
online. There's about 3 amendments, standard, and also attendance sheet as to who showed up for the walkthrough.
Where do you find the bid exactly?
Go to the, Santa, solid waste and,
Purchasing?
Purchasing.
Purchasing.
Usually purchasing, yeah.
purchasing. And, it's like about the 4th or 5th one down, depending on where they're at. Let's say transfer station operations. Let's see. The other item is, it appears that I put in a grant probably about 7 or 8 months ago, if not more, for about $121,000 for creating a shed roof over where our recycling, will be. That goes into an open top trailer. It appears that it's been approved.
What's the grant for? I'm sorry.
Is to construct a shed roof over
Over the
an
trailer
open
tops.
top trailer
Okay.
where it would then become the single stream versus putting it into the containers. So we received some positive news on that today.
Where's that grant from?
That means anything they drop off.
Where will that be
So you
located?
can't.
Over the shed roof.
It's if you go to the transfer station, you see the big blue wall that's painted blue, it says
Yep.
recycling. It's gonna be, there's a trailer, open top trailer behind that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So it's a 3-sided shed roof.
Nice.
And that's pretty much all I got.
That grant will cover the cost for that?
Approximate. And we asked for it, and if it doesn't, then I'll see what, the whole thing when you do projects, you have to have the money to put it out to bid. And you don't know what you can guesstimate of what it is, but everything changes based
Are we
on,
looking downstream that eventually is going to be totally closed with garage doors and everything or no?
not the recycling, not the shed.
Not the shed roof?
It has to be open so that it's a 3-sided with a roof.
Yeah.
The trailer can go on, open top trailer can go underneath it. And the idea is it's the front of it's high enough to where you can get in there with the backhoe and load and push things.
Is there going to be a sprinkler system?
No, it's metal. I mean, not metal.
Just metal?
It's just recycled.
Oh, okay.
It's just recycled.
Because in theory, recycling's dry, clean, and not contaminated.
So you've got that wall that says recycle, recycle.
Yeah,
And then now, right now it's all cordoned off, and now you're gonna put a shed in front of that.
over it. I'm calling it, it's a shed roof.
The shed-
It's a metal roof,
shed roof.
metal sides,
There you go.
corrugated metal.
I got you. Okay.
And the
The whole
purpose,
front end of it is open, except for maybe a support
Keep
beam.
it dry.
And the idea is so that it's, keeps it dry.
Keeps it out of the weather.
Going into the
Open top trailer.
open top trailer, what happens when that rains?
It hopefully protects it from the rain.
Okay, that's
That's the whole purpose. of
okay,
it.
that's, the shed's gonna be over the trailer, over the,
It's over the trailer. You have an open top trailer. The problem is when you have an open container and it's in the middle, you get a rainstorm and say you have cardboard or
Snow
something
and
there,
everything else.
or snow. It's basically then turns into complete waste.
Right.
Now in SW, because the moisture content is above the limits and it's garbage. So the idea of it is it kind of helps, keeps it dry and makes it a little more efficient. Right now, we take single stream recycling, they put them into containers that have a cover on the lower level there, but near the road. But then twice a week, you're having the people put it into that container, and then twice a week, they're taking a roll off and having to dump it into with the rest of it. It's a completely inefficient operation. I mean, it may keep it somewhat dry the way those are, but even that, you get water, where those containers are. This idea is that you turn around and you put it in once, you touch it once, and you're done.
yeah, seems like, makes a lot of sense. So like putting that sign up saying video surveillance or something, to keep their, yeah, cause then Lisa she's not gonna go prancing around.
Yeah, it's unlikely that I'm gonna climb down into the tree.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, it's different when I climb
That's who
into,
you would.
yeah. I am,
Perfect timing.
unbelievable.
So that's, go ahead.
I was gonna ask what kind of maintenance the shed will need. Painted or anything?
It's a corrugated metal.
It should last our lifetime.
It's obviously structurally strong for.
Yeah, I didn't wing this thing on my back. Engineering company, come up with it. It's gotta go through building, it's gotta be permitted, it's, it's mounted on, the concrete walls. For some reason, when I was going for this grant, they were hung up on the stuff as to, well, are you excavating? No, I'm putting it on concrete walls that are already there.
Existing.
Existing, so, I think there's other issues that someone was thinking.
Will it withstand the hurricane?
It's supposed to withstand, yes, I think, maybe one, EF1, but I don't know about if you start getting up to 3s and 4s.
Probably here, it's 100 mile per hour, but no more than that. I would
Yeah,
think.
and I think that's something where that was on it. It has to meet the building.
Right, it has to meet the specs.
Well, Long Island knocks hurricanes down pretty well before it gets here, so,
So anyway, it's positive news. Like you said, now that we have some funding, I still have to work with the grants personnel to go through some details, but I'll be able to put together the RFP and see what bids come in for that.
nice.
We also met with a fence company this morning to get some quotes to replace the fence along the road. That's very narrow, very low. This is the one where, you had a high school girl be able to jump the thing. Very athletic. I give that girl a lot of credit.
Gymnastics.
Well, jump it right over it. I mean, there's barbed wire that's kind of there too, but, so
SEAL team.
basically, yeah, I know. Basically, so we'll wait for some quotes to come back, quote for that to come back. That's it.
Any violations or warnings or stickers?
We haven't put any stickers out there. We're down short of person the past several weeks. One of the individuals had some surgery done, so.
Just the big one I put on, 1040 Uncle Road, that was all over social media. And that they now no longer bring their recycling can to the curb. They leave it up in the driveway and it's all bungee cord. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, it was a real good one.
My wife did.
It was a good one.
That was their response to the oops sticker.
Yes.
Good.
So there's behavior.
Well, public shaming, I guess.
Because I really loaded it up. It's that one.
So that was recycling.
Did you see that?
So it was on social media?
Oh, yeah.
Town of Fairfield? Okay. Yeah.
This was a house that's on Uncle Road,
And so they changed their behavior.
and many houses.
Well, they changed their behavior. They got it away from her.
Oh, wow,
She's not allowed
that's great.
in. So, I was just curious, it looked like the bins are getting, there's many fewer plastic bags.
I pulled out 27 of them today,
Today?
from the weekend and everything, yeah.
Oh, okay, maybe I just came at the pull them.
Maybe you did,
Yes, I did.
This is from the,
at the transfer station.
so they're still in
And
there.
there's a lot of glass in there.
I know, I know. I mean, and, we try to be real, some people are just lazy.
That's about it.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda are the revised solid waste and recycling regulations. Now, we've been working on this for the past few months, and I've copied, as we had different iterations, I've been copying all the commission members, I've been copying John. Lisa, I have not copied you on everything. I just assumed that John would have given that to you, but I know you had, Lisa had a lot of input in this as well. By the time we got to last month, we had gotten to the point where we felt that these regulations were as good as they were going to get. Nothing's perfect, but the most substantive part of the regulations, of course, was chapter 4, which were the new transfer station fees. that were approved in the special meeting on April 15th. They were approved at that meeting. We had a public hearing on April 29th where no one showed up, and so they are essentially now official effective July 1st. Looking through the regulations, other than a lot of the definitions and wordings and rewordings and remedy consolidation, the only other thing of substance that I can think of is the fact that we raised in the last section, last chapter, we raised the penalty for repeated violations from $90, which have been, to $125. It's because it had been in effect for so long, and I think there was a good comment, well, why not at least 3 figures? It'll mean something to someone. Some people won't mean anything, but,
Did I say that?
I think so. So anyway, at this point, I would like, prior to the meeting, I sent out the complete regs with all the markings. What I'd like to do is entertain a motion to approve the regulations. If they are approved, I will then ask the town attorney to take the Word document, which I tried to do it myself. You can't, it's protected. You cannot do anything with it. You can't even print it. So I'm going to ask him to put that into a final form, get rid of the color coding, get rid of the blank pages, the crossouts and all that, and have it published as a, I suppose, draft final document and post it online so that, because we have to have a public hearing on that, which we talked about, John and I said we are going to suggest June 20th, a week from Thursday at 3 p.m. And but before we do that, I've got to get, it have to be posted online. And the reason I want to get this done tonight is we don't meet again until September. And we've worked hard on this. I mean, Chapter 4 is already in effect July 1st. So I think it's a good idea to get that on there. And, I mean, my understanding is that if there are any changes, especially of substance, we can, as a commission, change that anytime we want, change parts of it. I don't think it has to be started from scratch because, again, nothing had happened, very little happened in 10 years, but I think we can fine tune it as we need to in the fall or thereafter. So, and again, it was approved, the town attorney worked on it, they approved it, and as far as I'm concerned, it's ready for a vote, so I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Tim, can we discuss it first? I'm not prepared to approve it or vote on it.
Okay.
Do we have a motion to discuss it? Or do you need a motion to vote on it?
I'd like to vote it because discussing it, we could be here we've spent months and months and hours going over this.
So the first time I got this,
I've copied you on every single.
I didn't have all the changes. I just got the changes.
On every single change on this. I mean, I sent the last thing out before I went on vacation 3-4 weeks ago.
That was the last change?
That was the last change before I went to the lawyer.
This week, what came Wednesday or Thursday? That's when I got it.
Well,
Okay, anyway.
we have your own email, you had it.
No, you have the right email. I'm not prepared to think that there's a lot of things. Why are we, if you say there's nothing substantive, why are we redoing the regulations?
They're 10 years old, and especially in the definitions, a lot of them are incorrect.
Well,
Again, the substantive part was Chapter 4, the tip fees, and that we already voted on. With respect to the rest of the regulations, there was a lot of stuff in there that was not correct.
With respect to definitions, a lot of the definitions do not agree to the Connecticut DEP solid waste plan. The definitions that are in this proposed.
Well, I would suggest you talk to Attorney Perry then, because the town attorney made a point of looking through this and making sure it in fact is.
Did they dovetail with the DEP plan?
We'll have to ask him that.
Because the MSW definition of the DEP plan is not the same as what we're using. And there's a lot of things in here. I mean, it was just giving an example. In the definition, it says MSW is garbage and rubbish. Is that correct?
I don't know. I don't have this in front of me.
You don't have the, that's what the definition is.
No.
And if it was, why are we using garbage and rubbish in MSW? Why don't we just decide what term we're going to use?
Because people use it, as far as I'm concerned, it is the same thing. But the definitions for the purpose of of the town are as defined in there.
On the definition.
So what about trash? I mean, trash is the same thing too.
On the definition page, it says ashes should be, ashes or combustible placed in a paper bag. We teach people never to place them in a paper
I
bag.
don't know what version you have, but we've been
I
going.
have the version that I got this Thursday, and I didn't see it till.
I didn't send anything out Thursday. Did I send?
No, I
I
didn't
don't
get
have
anything.
anything from.
Oh, no, wait a minute, no, I think when I got, when Attorney Perry's reviewed, made his, you got it, and I said, maybe I did send that out. What is it?
I'm looking straight at the document. It says ashes being residue from burning of combustible materials placed in a paper bag. We train all of our people not to put ashes in a paper bag.
That was taken out as far as I'm concerned, as far as I remember.
It's in there.
Okay,
I have major issues with a lot of the definitions. Commercial registered vehicle, CRV. It means a whole bunch of things. Why can't we simply say that it means it means a commercial registered vehicle in the state of Connecticut, but does not include
well, here,
vehicles?
It seems to me that we've discussed all of
we've been
this
over and over this. We've had at least three meetings to go over all this. I've gone back and forth and back and forth.
We're trying to make this document better, because, is this, I guess I need to ask another question. Is this for the residents, or is this just for us?
This is the official solid waste and recycling regulations of the town.
We want the residents to read this. We want them to
I
know.
have no problem, the final version I saw that the town attorney went through is fantastic as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what you're specifically going for there, I don't even know what version you might have in front of you, but all that stuff has been.
I have whatever I downloaded.
And correct me if I'm wrong, John, you've seen all the versions of that, is that correct? So I don't know, I do not want to have, unless someone, I'll leave it up to the commission, do you want to keep discussing this, or do we have a vote?
I'm gonna have a vote.
Okay.
I think we spent quite a bit of time on this.
And again,
But if we don't do it right, why are we doing it?
You've done it right.
yes, I absolutely think you've done it right, and yes, we have done it right. Look, as I said before, if in fact there is something in there that is egregiously wrong, first of all, I would be surprised because the attorney has looked it over carefully. Second of all, if there's something terribly wrong, in September, our next meeting, we can make changes to that portion. But I believe, and I've personally spent many hours in this, and I know many of you others have too. So I would like to ask for a motion to approve the regulations.
I want to say first that when I say I think we've done it right, I think we've done it right to the limits of our abilities right now. Of course, there could be things that may need some kind of modification
Right.
down the road, but we've been through this document several times. The town attorney's been through it. It's his job to make sure it lines up with deep. And if he didn't, well, then it's his bad. But I think we've done our job, and I have to assume he's done his job.
Yes.
And I think we're ready to vote on it, so I so move.
Okay. Do I have a second? Kelly? All in favor of approving the
Aye.
regulations? Vote is four in favor, opposed?
We'll still, even though I know the increases were voted on at a different time, but I still am not in favor of the increases.
Okay.
You know, everything else you said before, I agree with you on. We spent a lot of time putting it together, and I'm in, the rest of the documents.
Well,
It's gonna get right now.
the vote was 4-2. Oh, and I'm so, oh, no one's out there. The vote was 4-2 and 4-2 in favor, so. What's that?
No, we don't.
Oh, Andrew's not, that's right, that's why it's 4-2, okay. Again, I'm not gonna ask the town attorney to get this into a clean document and have it posted, and at the same time, I'm gonna request a public hearing for a week from Thursday, June 20th at 3 p.m. right here. Now, John and I will attend, any of you that want to attend can. At the last public hearing, no one showed up. I don't know what to expect here, but we'll be ready. And by the way, it's my understanding from talking to the attorney that in a public hearing, you hear what people have to say. There's no voting, there's no changing, but all the comments will be made public. And if there are issues that need changes, then I think the elected officials will take it up. So I think that's the purpose of a public hearing.
Public hearing is for this document.
The public hearing will be for the document, and this document will be online. It'll be clear. It won't have all the crossouts. It'll be the final document. I presume it'll be as a draft until we get the public hearing, but it's essentially what we worked on for the last few months. Okay, the next agenda item is food waste.
Tim, I have a question. What do residents do with lithium batteries?
Lithium batteries, I
It's not in
believe.
this document anywhere.
Okay, I'll make a note of that. Well, no, I mean, when you say lithium batteries, I believe that rechargeable batteries are part of that goes into the electronics, correct? I don't know if anyone's checking for lithium versus other types, but it goes into that, it goes into the recycle, into the electronics trailer.
It's not mentioned anywhere.
But you can't put everything in a document.
Well,
Next week, new battery. You gotta put a sign down there,
We're talking about dry cell, we're talking about others.
you
I mean,
can't put everything in a document.
society has changed. We're talking about food waste, we're talking about all the changes. We're not doing them all. But
What is that? I was gonna put something up here. Oh, wait a minute, I guess I have to. So anyway, I want to put that up now, but I want to open the discussion. We had a lot of discussion about food waste and
Yes.
Lisa, you're very much involved with food waste.
Right, and even though in the regulations you have, it must be in compostable bags, it has to be in BPI compostable bags or loose, and preferably loose.
Well, BPI for compostable bags is definitely in,
No, it's not in the regulations under food waste, that was one of the things I wanted to bring up. You just put compostable bags, you crossed all that out. And that's something I really hit, yeah, in the latest copy I got, yeah,
okay.
you know, because there's compostable poly bags that I get a lot of,
Hmm,
That makes sense.
which I don't like. They're the ones Stop and Shop switched from the BPI because people were just stealing them.
Whole Foods has them.
well, Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's has I don't
Trader
know.
Joe's is BPI, right?
I don't know, I don't go to Trader Joe's, I
People were
guess.
stealing BPI bags?
Yeah, you know when they have the produce bags?
Yeah. Why would they be stealing those bags? Is that
Put
what
in
you're
their,
asking?
to use for their.
Right, in Westport and Fairfield, they both had that problem, but Westport more so than Fairfield, so they switched to the poly compostable.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay,
Sorry.
Oh, I was on the phone with Stop and Shop like you would not believe.
That's crazy. Two of the wealthiest towns in the state, they're still in the plastic bags. Yeah.
Damn, I just ordered a bunch of myself, like, when I could have stolen them.
Yeah.
I want to show you something
Can
here.
I ask you, is it
Steal
okay
from
to
Whole Foods.
advise people to use paper bags?
Well, too much paper is not good.
Okay.
You know, I do have some of the people, I've trained them to dump their paper bags,
Hmm,
you know.
okay. So you're
And
not,
like I said, I'm just a fan of loose,
yeah,
you know.
like just for people that like don't like loose because it's too icky, but then they don't understand the difference between BPI and non-BPI, can I?
Tim, what do you bring it up?
Because I have been
What's that?
advising them, I don't know if it's like kosher or not
Well, see,
kosher.
what people are doing is, when they use paper bags, they're using 6 of them.
I hear what you're saying, okay, and then they get mushed together, okay.
Okay, I do have a copy of this final document with all these markups and things. Compostable bags, the final version, compostable bag means cellulose-based BPI certified bags for food waste scraps.
Yeah, but where you added, in, where was it?
Can we assume anywhere that says compostable bags, the assumption is by definition, it's.
by definition, but yeah.
Yeah, and that,
You know, and that just, again, it's just, you have no idea how many, you know, it's,
But like, you know this, but people, general public doesn't know the difference between compostable and BPI compostable.
exactly.
That's our job, to educate them. And it's a continuing project.
Yeah, two point 2.3.
But they don't know that there's like a certification for, you know what I mean?
they're just
Yeah.
plain compostables and then there's
Yeah.
BPI compost.
Yeah. Exactly.
Had,
Is one easier to compost than the other, is that
So
the? I haven't, I.
BPI.
Compostable poly bags are plastic that break down,
Mhm.
Quicker
but
than
they still end up
regular
in microplastics.
plastic.
Where the
Sounds pretty
BPI
simple.
are in theory made from, you know, plants. And one of the problems with them is you don't know what your plant base is, whether they were treated with chemicals or not, which is why they're starting to get banned in more and more food waste composting.
So do you see where 2.2.3 doesn't say BPI?
So it's very
Loose.
confusing,
It's
yeah.
the way to go, loose.
That's what I said, loose and fancy, loose and fancy free, right? I have this lovely woman, she freezes them, and so she brings in these blocks of ice, she freezes them. And these little blocks, you know, like in that she got for her kids to make igloos, the snow blocks.
Great,
So she freezes them in her freezer and then she jumps snow blocks in.
it's great.
Perfect.
That's a lot of real estate in the freezer though. You know, depending on how much.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I have a small freezer, but I don't, you know, generate the food waste.
well, what I had up there initially was, again, continue the food waste discussion, but one of the things that I would like to discuss and I suppose vote on is to approve that.
That sign with the SKU on it so that anybody,
So that you can
Contact.
make a sign and put it up next to the next. I don't know what happened to my,
So I know that,
restarted my computer
I
here, so
know no
hopefully
one's a fan of.
Here we go.
like,
Okay, there it is.
ticketing people for contamination, but can we at least put a sign up, like you'll be fined $250 for contaminate, like it's some sort of like, you know, a
Don't
fine
do
of
it,
$250 if caught contaminating this. Something to like.
but again, we have to find everybody, you know, it's very clear, no, it's very clear on the clothing bins. They
Yeah,
must be in plastic bags. Okay, you should have seen, I mean, I was helping the guys load up, it was all loose inside. So if we're gonna fine for this, we have to fine for that. We've gotta fine for this, we've gotta fine for
well,
that.
so, one example, there's a big sign right where the, store is recycling, it says no plastic bag.
Oh, yeah,
Every time I look in there, there's plastic bags. So signs don't work.
no, signs do not work.
So what's the
Filing.
alternative? Like, there has to be a solution.
Well, the sign might be working. You pulled out 27 bags out of a
Just,
20
just,
out of a 20 cubic yard container. That could have been 300 plastic
right,
bags.
this is true. This
So
is
how do
true.
we get this
It's
27?
less than 10%.
Ron, you talked to the.
Curbside compost
You're like one of the-
is happy with the contamination level.
Yeah, you could have had some bags of trash in there.
Well, Ron had talked to the owner of Curbside Composting.
We're happy with the contamination level down at the transfer station.
Yeah.
It's acceptable right now.
It is
Whatever's
acceptable.
going on.
So that was one of your customers.
I was actually surprised.
Is that the one?
I was surprised to hear that as well.
Because
One of the reasons I sent you over there. There's a bunch of them down that way.
I think one of the problems, Lisa, is you're the one that gets, when something doesn't happen, it all gets down on you. I mean, it may not happen that often, but it's unfortunately, you're taking the brunt of it.
Right, I mean, Curbside has been absolutely wonderful dealing with them, you know, and I pulled out so much stuff out of those bins before they pick it up.
Oh, okay.
You know, I mean, it's like, you know, these styrofoam encrusted, rotten chop meat. You know, I mean, there was 3 big packages of that,
So, yeah,
you
maybe.
know, and there are times, like I said, I still talk to the driver, there are also times, depending on what the route is, they'll pick up at Trader Joe's, which has high contamination. So it goes directly to Quantum, which has the depackager now, which is really cool, by the way. So that they can take the higher contamination.
Is that Oak Ridge?
No.
Quantum.
It's
Never heard of
an
Quantum.
anaerobic digester up in Southington.
Oh, that's what they call that?
So it's.
Won't they
Name of the company.
Packager?
Yeah. It's robot arms that just separate it.
Wow.
So curbside picks up at Trader Joe's? Okay. I was wondering about that too. Do they do any other, supermarket or food?
Pinocchio does Whole Foods and they do that compactor and that goes to New Milford.
Okay.
I know ShopRite, I don't know who picks up their compactor. Their other compactors picked up with City and the driver from City says they do have a driver that goes regularly to New Milford Farms.
Okay. Well, anyway, this is
This is what we're talking
This
about.
is what we're talking about. I'd like to get this approved to put, as indicated, let's see, I took a photo of. No, that's not it. Let's see, food waste area. Yeah, so right now, this, I took this photo the other week.
Christine.
Huh?
That was right after a pickup.
Yeah.
Because there's no, I mean, it was right after a pickup, because if, on the right side, there would be full
Yeah,
cans,
the full kids on them.
so.
Well, and so the new sign would go, maybe move that sign over, and put the new sign there. Again, some people, we all know, some people aren't gonna pay attention to anything, but the more information and the more warnings, if you will, the better things should get.
I'm with Ellie. I mean, I think, I know what you're saying. It's once you start the violation thing, then you have to monitor it and everything, but even the word violation.
Yeah,
or some
I think
kind
the
of-
threat violation
I
works.
just,
And I keep going back to the sticker that was put on my basketball hoop. That was the best example. The threat works. I mean, if it's not gonna work on all 27 of those people, but maybe like half of them. Maybe the, you know.
say, video is in use and violations.
Yeah, you are being smile, you're on camera.
Put a sign up there that says, if you don't do it right, just don't do it.
See, that one I like.
Yeah.
You know, because even now, I mean, did I give you the recycle right? You
Yeah,
know,
this, you started, Richard noted, you started passing these out as people come in the transfer station, pass that around. That's very good.
you know, and I do, I mean, you know, and people are, most people are really great, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is great. And they do want to know, they want to recycle right every time, and then, you know, and it also opens a dialogue with people.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people, you know, it's like, just want to know more, why aren't paper plates recyclable? You know, again, you know, why aren't tissue papers recyclable?
What about number 5, plastic?
See, number 5 is a goosey.
Number 5 is polypropylene, right?
I don't know, but I've heard it both ways.
Right, I mean, what it is, any, you know, 5 is used for a lot of small stuff, and anything, you know, under 2 inches is not recyclable. And 5 is a number on a lot of black plastics.
Well, I know that too.
And, you know, again, you know, black plastics aren't as regulated, like I mentioned, on the plastics on your laptops and computers are more regulated than the black plastic.
Hmm.
And it's cleaner plastic than they use in, you know, food grade.
Take out containers.
Well, I know, you know, polypropylene, for instance, is a big component of synthetic carpeting and things like that. The one thing about polypropylene, it's the same, all it has is carbon and hydrogen, just like polyethylene, high density polyethylene. Phthalates are different, we'll talk about that
I was
later.
gonna say PFAS is.
Well, for instance, number 1, as you can see, is polyethylene terephthalate, but it's still only carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen.
So getting back to 5s, so big non-black things labeled 5 is okay?
Right now, yes,
Okay.
right now.
it's constantly changing. It's very confusing, but you know, my problem is, there's a lot of big things that people are making that mistake on. You know, I mean, it's, you know, I found an empty gas can in the recycling, a big one, you know, one of those big ones. You know, and it's disgustingly filthy and dirty, and even though it's empty, it still smells like gasoline. Okay, but it's plastic and it has the resin symbol on it.
Yeah, those symbols.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I have pulled out fish tank, I pulled out a mattress, I pulled everything out of there. And you guys see it.
Yeah,
You've seen everything in your recycling bins.
you're lucky the gas can was empty.
Yeah. Yes.
A few full ones, so yeah.
You know, well, I had the same thing too.
Usually the smell is the giveaway.
Yeah.
That means it's already everywhere.
And then we can't put that in recycling.
So you've got all these these people that are doing the plastic bag thing, they're still doing it, and they're violating all.
It's been the number one problem since like 1990.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So the
It's not like it's a
sticker-
new problem.
They put the OOP sticker on it, and then it gets into that Facebook feed. So what is the follow-up in there? Are we able to use the OOP sticker more aggressively? I mean, you're not putting violations on it.
Well, again, this is, you know, it's a double-edged sword here. Okay, like I have the one hauler, who's not here. And I've hit a lot of his cans. And he just has his garbage guys go and pick them up. The recycling guy will call him and say, hey, you gotta come pick this up. I'm like, are you at least leaving my stickers on? Yeah. You know, I've gone back to places that have been, where violators have, and all of a sudden the garbage can's no longer at the recycling can's no longer at the curb,
So,
you know? You know, and I have this other woman, she called me, she had the sticker on it. She called me up right away and I sat there, we went through everything in her recycling bin and she learned something from it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, it's, you know, free market on their end, they, you know, even though they know that they can't put contaminated recycling in with the recycling, but they can in the garbage.
okay, well,
Theoretically, isn't it better if it ends up in the trash than
Right. In
contaminating
case
the
then
entire,
you got recycling,
entire rest of the load? If it's something that's really.
yeah.
like the cans of
way
paint.
off, like cans of paint, which
Yeah.
Well,
happens
we
a lot
talked
too.
about the fact
because
that
they're in recyclable cans.
Enviro is there and they're watching all the loads come in. And we talked about the fact that they could dump it on the floor before they put it in the compactor. So when you dump it on the floor, you can say, this is fine to go in recycling, this is not fine to go in recycling. So you take the dump truck or the bucket and then you put it in garbage or recycling. And
It's not that clean.
Yeah.
And it's not that easy either, depending how busy you are, trucks.
Most of the time they're dumping into the hopper directly. There's certain ones that, yeah, you might have them because it's full, or you get a couple that might dump in front of it a little bit. But now you got a big mound that might be about 6-7 feet high. And then you got some garbage, but you got a lot of cardboard and you got other things over it, so you're not gonna see everything. And, you know, you can't have the guys climbing up into this thing, so what they can reach, maybe with a rake or something, they can pull it out. But it's not like you scoop this up and put it here, scoop that up there. It's not a nice or neat of a situation.
on your own.
Yeah, and a lot of times I'll do it on my way home from my gardening jobs at night when they're out, because that's the other thing, it's when are the garbage cans out?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I went to one of his neighborhoods and his guys had beat me by like 10 minutes because I saw him down the road. You know, and I park and I've gotta walk I gotta walk, 10 minutes, 20 minutes that way, come back to my truck, park, or walk, 10, 15 minutes that way.
Our guys are fast too.
Yeah.
So you're right. These guys,
And you got 3 trucks, I can't get.
they move.
Well, before we talk further on food waste, can we do a quick vote to ask the department to make a weatherproof sign and put it up next to the other one? Anyone, I'll make a motion to do that. Second by Ellie, and all in favor?
Fine.
Yep, is that, okay, good. And Ron, did you want to talk about food waste any further?
I guess the only thing I can talk about is our food waste versus trash study,
Yeah.
which we want to expand. Becky Bunnell has sent out an email to her 200+ people who are doing composting and having their food waste pick up. I think she's only gotten about 13 people to answer back and say, yes, we'll do it. So from 6 to 13 is not so great, but we're gonna send out another email and try to get some more people. In the meanwhile, I met with people in Sustainable Westport who are also interested in getting involved in this study, but they're gonna do it to their own timetable and so on. And once they have their data and we have our data, then we can aggregate stuff. We also have a few interns to work with us over the summer about this. So if we get enough people to do the study, then we'll have some data aggregators to do the grunt work of putting it all together. So I wouldn't look forward to, but I'm glad that kids like to do
You're
it.
reminding us that you're gonna be asking those people to weigh their food,
That's correct.
organics.
Their trash and when,
Also, to the way they're trashed too.
yes.
Well, and, you know, and then at the last meeting, we talked about the more limited study you did, which I took part in, which
And 6 household.
6 households weighing, were weighed for a month, right? You weigh trash and food waste, not recycle, because that was going
That
separately.
was already out.
In my case, it was 60% of it was food waste, and I didn't think I was wasting much food. but-
Well, the aggregate number was 59%.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Because of the weight is.
59% of the weight of those two things was food.
So
It's not surprising.
I was surprised, but,
It's
and I think a lot of people,
But it's heavy.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's got seeds in it.
Gunky.
The longer it sits, the wetter it gets, the heavier it gets.
well, I keep it in a compostable bag in the refrigerator, and I can tell you, I live in a condo, so I just take my garbage out to the bin. But like, it's only once a week now versus every 2 or 3 days, heavy with food in it, so.
And smelly.
It's smelly, yeah. So,
So anyway, we'll be moving ahead with that over the summer.
good.
Maybe you could put it out. Okay, I'll talk back.
Any other discussion of food waste, recycle, contamination, public education? I know you and we're all sort of working on that, but
What's the reason you're so focused on food waste, when I ask, like, is,
It's the sustainability issue.
Get the tonnage out of the solid
What's the
street.
difference?
but why do you want the food waste out of the garbage? It doesn't burn?
Well,
No, it's a
that's what
reason.
it does.
But we're, like, the people paid for the garbage, that's what I don't
so the
understand.
thing is, it's 60% of the waste stream, so it's less garbage going to the incinerator. And it's harder to incinerate because it's wet, so it needs more.
And
Again,
Your tipping fees will go down.
Yeah, I can understand that, it,
Significant.
it's, this
Mine,
is, a-
mine might, it's just transferring it somewhere else, that's all.
that's all it is. It's just transferring a carbon footprint, especially right now with the way it is. Either we're bringing it to New Milford or we're bringing it to
It
Southington.
becomes soil instead of being burned and becoming.
There's still a carbon footprint when making soil. It's equal to, I mean, I've seen all the
Still
studies.
running another truck around town.
And it's still equal as it breaks down the methane, it's still breaking down as compost.
Yeah, I think the transportation issue is, that's the carbon footprint. Unfortunately, here in Fairfield, in Lower Fairfield County, the closest place we have is Danbury, and then I guess Cheshire and New Milford. This is beyond our pay scale, but hopefully, there will be either a composting operation for food waste or a digestion operation like that one in Connecticut for animal feed, real closer so that the transportation isn't as far. And frankly, if that happens at some point, I think more people will be more amenable to separate food waste and do it. But it's,
I was wondering.
So maybe like think of it as recycling your food.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't see food waste as being like bad for the environment, it's food waste, you know what I mean?
People- I mean, the biggest problem we have is, you take from farm to end consumer, depending on what study you wanna read, it's anywhere from, 25 to 60% of the food from farm to end consumer is being wasted. But the biggest waste on food is not consumed food,
Yeah.
it's, food that has not been consumed. But again, because we are in a trash crisis in Connecticut.
Oh, that's,
The
okay,
whole upper part of Connecticut, all that, most of that trash in the upper part of Connecticut, there's no incinerator.
they closed it down.
Right, so it's all being landfilled to Pennsylvania.
Like it's better.
So it becomes a really hard problem, and that's where separating the food waste is much more helpful because the loads, they could put more in the loads.
Okay, well, that makes more sense, then I
There you
guess. Okay, well, that makes, all right.
So you're more sold on it going to Danbury than Pennsylvania.
Yeah, no, well,
Well, it just makes much more sense for the upper part of Connecticut where they're not convenient to.
Right, and they have Plainville, there's a few other big compostable farms, food waste farms up there. And there's one big farm that's awesome way up in Ellington that has actually a deep packager, which is so cool.
Well, obviously, this is gonna happen next week, but we're hoping that we can get a site that's nearby, relatively speaking, to bring the compostable stuff to rather than.
from what I gather, there's a lot of regulations, because Irv at Snow is trying to do
Right, I
it,
talked to
and
him
he
about it.
said it was too many, too
Right.
much.
If
too much-
anybody would have done it in the
Yeah.
area, it would have been
Yeah,
Snow Farm.
yeah, he said it was just
Yeah,
too
'cause
much.
he's one of the biggest compost,
Yeah.
he's one of, actually in the area, I
Yeah,
think he's one of the only licensed composting facilities in our general area.
yeah, everything.
He does the leaves and
I
yard
know.
waste. He even takes the leaves and yard waste from Fairfield, that the company,
Yeah,
and they pay to have it composted on his facility.
So he has looked into doing food.
Yes,
he said there's just too much paper, too much regulations. You can't, it was too extensive, he said.
Is he trying to do it himself or does he have people helping him?
I don't know, I asked him, I said, why don't you do food waste? You can mix it with all these leaves, you don't make compost. He goes, I already looked into it, it's not worth it for me, is what he told me.
right, because remember too, I mean, at some point, you know, I mean, like I said, he's the major composter in this area. Okay, but it's still a for-profit business.
Sure.
Okay, we have to understand that.
And he does a lot of business just.
He said something about the bones, is what he said. The bones can't be composted.
Bones and silverware.
Well, the bones would have to be ground up to be.
Okay, well, that was one of the big, I spoke to him, it was like a year ago, and I mentioned it to him, he said the bones, he's,
I asked him to.
yeah.
Why can I put
I
bones in my compost?
I don't know, he said the bones are something different with the bones, you gotta do something different.
Yeah.
Some bones you can, some you can't, I guess.
I don't have foods, man, I got Rambo. No, I don't have my dog, I got Rambo, I don't have food waste, so I don't know. Irv Snow,
Snow's Farm.
Snow's Farms,
Just past Silverman.
yeah.
Pick up. You can get it.
That should-
The one, well, I also, to go along with, as we went through this, new regulations, there are a couple of things that changed. Well, certainly since we approved this graphic a few years ago, there has been some changes in that food waste is now being able to brought to the transfer glass only containers. So I updated this, and what I'd like to do is our website has just about nothing on it. And I'd like to get this on our website. Anyone that looks at the commission website can go and see that, just as a way of very quickly, graphically seeing what's right and what isn't right. If I can, I don't know that I need to get your approval, but I'd like to get your input.
That's not already up there? Or-
Yeah, I made some changes. It's the center part.
Yeah, the center part's a
The
little-
center part's different. I'm just trying to update this a little bit. There's nothing, I think the one thing is that we now want to, for recycle, we'd rather have the caps off of the plastic, of the cartons and the plastic, because the caps by themselves are too small and harms the. It's not a disaster if they stay in there, but that's the current,
I think that red thing should line up with the no and the yes and separate from that box.
I see what you're
Because-
saying.
Because it's just like this red box.
If you move it over, you can make it a little bigger too.
Yeah, and the
yeah.
red circle says one thing and it's completely different, so and that was kind of centered in that red thing.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's nothing
Yeah.
absolutely urgent about this.
No,
Let me send this around and let's all start working. We'll let that go to the September meeting, but I think our website should be a little more, have some better information, not only this, but some of the other stuff. So we'll let this go.
I sent that to all my customers too, so.
Oh, well, yeah, and there's nothing wrong with the other one, and I haven't,
Just like that, I sent it in every
You guys
bill.
talk
Yeah.
about, when you send out the bills and things like that, do you talk about the glass recycling that's going on?
Well, I mean, I
Because it'd be
sent
very
that out,
helpful If there was like, yeah, that would be good.
I sent that out.
We both sent that out a few times.
No, but you didn't have that,
I did not-
anything
I did
about the
not
glass
spread.
recycling.
well, I'll send you guys. I'll send you guys the updated.
Yeah, no.
PDF. That's.
Those are the stickers too that we stick on the cans.
Yeah.
Can we ask something about that? Since you brought that up? Many meetings ago, we had approved that these stickers would be made.
Mhm.
There was grant money for it. And it was said it was gonna be done, and then it was said that they were gonna be put on people's containers. And was never done.
Yeah, oh, it was done.
Where? I didn't see it anywhere. I didn't, you know.
Yeah, it's on.
I see it on bins all the
Still
time.
have those,
The
right?
problem is they're completely faded.
Yeah, they get worn out.
That's what happened, a lot of them
You know.
got faded.
They didn't make it to my neighborhood.
My
I,
neighborhood didn't get it either.
I have yet to see them on anybody's container.
Oak Ridge didn't put them on.
Yeah.
Oak Ridge, I mean, I gave them to the guys, they never put them
I
on.
did, I went through thousands of
They
them.
didn't make it to my neighborhood.
And who do you have?
We had a whole case that we.
You do my neighborhood. They didn't make it to my neighborhood. So I wasn't gonna say that till you just brought it up.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
I use Big Little.
Yeah.
I don't have any sticker on mine.
I'm surprised about that because with the number we went through.
My whole neighborhood does not have it on.
What's your name? I'm gonna go ticket it, no.
What's that?
This
I can't, I really couldn't hear you.
What area? What street area?
Near Holland Hill.
I'm really surprised over there.
Me too.
Cause I know Caesar used up a ton of them, but.
Do it.
Well, if you say they've been done, I asked because I didn't think it was done. It's done and that's fine. That was answered my question.
well, I know, what, probably 3 or 4 years ago, I put that into a fairly large weatherproof thing and put it in all of our bins in our condo. And it still looks great, but again, that's, it costs more money than the stickers, yeah. Other than that, let's see, what's the next? Oh, we did talk about, under new business, we talked about visiting Oak Ridge with their new facility, assuming they're currently now up and operating with their new.
They won't do anything
It's not
till at
okay.
least September, I mean, it's not, they're not
Yeah.
ready.
Oh, they're not, well, that's the question. If they were ready, I'd like to, you wouldn't have to wait till the September meeting, but, okay, so we'll put that out to September.
Did they sell that transfer station too, Lisa, or just the garbage? Did Oak Ridge sell that?
You have
Oak
recycling.
Ridge is completely, the company in and of itself is completely joined with IWS.
Oh, so they joined together, okay.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, you know, I mean, I'm trying to get the.
I didn't know if they just-
logistics. So they're IWS operated by Oak Ridge.
Okay.
Well, I mean, besides the corporate,
Interstate Waste Solution, one of the biggest garbage companies in New York City, New Jersey.
well, I mean, other than the corporate ownership.
All the trucks have been changed.
Really?
Yep.
And then, and I guess the question is, but their facility since the fire, that sounds like that's not completely ready yet.
But they have the soft start already. June 1st was their soft start.
Soft start, okay. Well, then it makes sense to wait until they're up and operating and we can see
Yeah.
how it's different from what it was 2 years ago when we visited. So we'll table that until September. as well.
And they're still working out the details on, you know, the whole.
I guess the only other thing is, when I talked to Becky the other day, and there is an area that's static pile up in north of Hartford, Ellington.
Yeah,
That she, have you been there?
I work there, yeah.
Oh, okay, and she thought that'd be a good visit for someone if they wanted to see it, since we didn't see the Ridgefield one. So that's a possible visit, but what do you think?
It's big. I mean, you'd have to get, you know, it's a totally different corporation than when Becky knew it.
Okay.
And even when I worked there and, you know, the connection Becky had since retired, it's nothing to do with it. But, again, it's a mess, depending on, you know, but the one good thing, like, Big Little brought in, you know, all this food from one of the tractor trailers a couple weeks ago. There was an accident. Okay, and, you know, they have the contract, so they pick up. And when in Ellington, all that food waste, even packages and everything, would go straight there. Anything up that part of the state.
Oh, okay.
You know, and that's a big part of that food waste that everybody counts when they look at the numbers. It's places like that. And, you know, they have everything. And you know, necessarily their conveyor belts and their depackagers, but you do see all that garbage. You know, you see all the plastics, you see all that garbage. And it's just, it's still the carbon footprint because it's there, it's in, you know, they do it. And then, you know, each process of it, it slowly makes its way out of it. And then the final screening, you have piles and piles of plastics.
Wow.
You know, I mean, it's not like, and you still end up with that microplastic in that food waste compost, even though it's a richer compost, but it's also very high in phosphorus.
Wow.
You know, I mean, it is an amazing operation. You know, I remember being up there one day when McDonald's egg truck went off the road. Okay, and so there was eggs for miles, you know, when they all got dumped there with the cartons and all. Yeah.
So I know that there's been a lot of conversation around expanding education in the town, and taking advantage of the opportunity at like town events over the summer, and collaborating with Sustainable Fairfield Task Force and the dream teams. So I want to see if that would be, and I know they were asking for the commission to kind of.
Thank you, yeah,
amount.
for those events where we're separating food waste and recycles and all that, as long as it's a Fairfield event, they want to make sure it's okay to bring that down to the transfer station.
So you're gonna have a hauler, a licensed hauler bring down?
Volunteers, so like people like.
So we're gonna allow volunteers to be licensed, to be haulers.
No, volunteers to like collect food waste
Right.
and bring it to the transfer station.
As a hauler.
So they will be licensed? We will license them?
I'm not a licensed hauler, I'm not a.
Okay, so, I mean, because because I know we can't tell somebody, yeah, you can go, you're a Fairfield resident, you could charge a fee and pick up food waste
So,
and bring it in and then tell me it's just a residential food waste.
so like right now, like at the farmer's market,
Right.
we collect food waste and we bring it down to the transfer station.
Did we get permission for that?
I think that was done up around.
And this is like an
You know,
education.
the only thing with something like that is if you're doing that at the farmer's market, we gotta make sure they're Fairfield residents, because we're not gonna
So, but
subsidize.
it's gonna end up in the garbage, so whether you're.
It's gotta be Fairfield residents. We're not gonna be taking-
Many of them in the farmer's market are not Fairfield
It's
residents.
one of the,
So we're charging Fairfield residents to bring their stuff down here, not the food waste, but all the other stuff.
and then back they have to have a sticker.
If I'm not, and you have to be.
So you're saying the volunteer would have to be part of Fairfield resident.
No, the people that they're taking them from the other town, why am I paying $252 a ton for out of towners? This food waste costs 2.5
Oh, you're
times,
saying his food waste costs more money than garbage.
Costs
We would
2.5
prefer
times
that
more
to
than
be
garbage.
Right. And and
for us,
you know, the whole idea behind our stickers is a facility use fee.
So, okay.
So we don't know if there are people that are dropping it off
what you said
and pay
before.
the fee to use the facility.
Just to back up, so understand, at our transfer station,
Mhm.
we're 11 months into the fiscal year. We've taken in 20 tons of food waste. That's diverting out of what, 31,000 tons of garbage. It's a feel-good thing right now. That's all it is. And it costs $252 a ton average over the 11 months for me to get rid of it, and it'll go up more next month because I'm having twice a week pickup because you can't just let it ferment to there. And so I'm paying that $252 versus what, maybe $90, $87 to get rid of garbage. It's
So you're
it's not
saying
profitable.
financially makes more sense to throw the food in the garbage than in the compost.
Physically, yes. This food, and I've talked to directors of other towns that are trying to do, West Hartford's trying to go through a big program also. They're fortunate to be near that, Chichester up there, it's something to take it to. But basically, it's an environmentally feel-good thing. It's not a money saver. And for us, it's a big expense.
Okay.
So when you start taking things like this from other towns, from people coming to these markets from out of town, why am I taking their expenses?
Well, one thing I think the thought is, and I know when I was talking to Becky, most of the farmer markets in Fairfield are primarily Fairfield people.
No,
Now,
they're not. No, they're not. Oxford, Newtown, a lot of them are not Fairfield.
Newtown has their own, they have their own
There
food.
are people who go.
Farmers Market, you said.
Yes.
The farmers market at Greenfield Hill is not Fairfield people. I'm just telling
Oh,
you.
you mean the people that are selling? Oh, yeah, okay, I get
So
you.
what I'm hearing.
But the people that come to buy the food,
Yeah, there are people that follow the farmer markets, they know the
So
farmers
what I'm
markets.
hearing, it doesn't make financial sense to compost. It makes more sense financially to grow the garbage.
But that's,
I do a lot with people where I'm teaching them to reduce their food waste. That's what makes sense.
So when you look at the food waste upside down pyramid,
Yeah,
composting is the last thing to do with it,
yeah, but
the very last.
we're a consumer culture. We can't, people are not gonna consume us. They're not gonna buy. Well, I mean, that's just the way it is.
Can I say one thing? I'm looking at.
So, Ellie, is this stuff that they bring to the market and it doesn't sell?
So-
No,
This is
it's,
like-
you know, you know you're going to the farmer's market, so you grab your food waste. Because whether you didn't buy a sticker or you don't wanna come down to the transfer station, you drop it off at the, that's what they're doing.
This is soft education, this is let's educate the public.
That's
show
what it
them
is.
This concept is about, which it sounds like is not fiscally the way to go.
You know,
So then the other option, this is the carrots, then the other option is the stick. Fine people for not doing the right thing. And then we can make money.
Brad, you had a comment?
My question is, I don't want to stir the pot too much here, but if you're collecting from other people and you're transporting it, why do I have to pay for $150 permit on every one of my trucks?
that's exactly.
I'm talking about garbage and I'm bringing it.
No, that's what we're talking about.
Yes.
So then you become food waste hauler.
Or you need a permit.
He already has.
You can't bring it to the
I wanna
transfer
buy
station.
$2 million more of equipment.
yeah.
So
Then because I can't,
Snow
you're not,
doesn't wanna get involved.
you don't have an area to collect it largely. If he's a food waste hauler like curbside, he would have to go up to New Milford or, Quantum, he'd have to get permitted to do
My
that.
guys dealing with
So then
DOT for that many road miles.
So what's a,
Straight up.
See, if you're gonna do that, that was one of the things I commented, Becky said, are you gonna have curbside compost, drop off a container there and pick it up? They're a licensed hauler to transport.
Just do it right from there.
Right.
Now then, do that way.
And then the.
So it doesn't go down.
Who's
so
gonna pay
then
for that?
maybe, yeah, put a curbside bin in there.
Okay, well, but the only thing is who's gonna pay for that?
The town.
Just increase the fees for everybody, and now we're gonna whack them again.
Okay, so if we penalize people that don't pay the bin, we can actually use that money to pay for these.
Okay, so
these programs.
if we have somebody sit there or paying somebody, it'll probably be a wash.
Because you're paying salary.
Okay, yeah, I mean, and again, if we're gonna, sit there and watch people, we're gonna tell them not to do it and they're not gonna do it.
I mean, who's gonna issue this violation?
That's what I mean.
There's only one agency in the town that could issue a violation like that.
Put this in perspective.
We're uniform. And we're gonna put police officers down there, and the first time they get into an argument with somebody and it turns into a physical altercation, then we're gonna crucify the police officer again. Because that's what happens when you use violations, to try to change behavior.
Okay, so hold on.
Can I just say something for a second?
Yeah.
Putting this into perspective, how many tons, if it even comes to that, is farmers market food scraps in a year?
I have no idea. I didn't know they were collecting it. Has anybody been tracking it?
Well, it's five.
So again, why is he paying the
Five
whole?
stupid pounds of, maybe.
There's a principle here.
We have a principle that everybody has to be charged the same way.
So in the same
Fine.
principle, we're in a waste crisis and we need solutions. So can we have some solutions?
It should be in the regulations.
I have the people who are making money at the market and to have their
We just.
rubbish removed. They're thinking of business. They're making money.
This is not about this.
This is, like I said, what they're doing at the farmer's market, if I understand correctly, is that they're having people, instead of coming down to the transfer station with a valid sticker, just bring it and drop it off at the farmer's market. And then we'll be the haulers and haul it down to the
Tell everything
transfer.
to do that.
Sustainability. Right.
Oh, God.
Oh, well, then it's sustainability, it should be a hauler.
Here she says,
Then sustainability should be the hauler.
right.
They get a license.
So.
I know it's a small percent, it's only a small amount.
This is an educational opportunity to educate the public. It's not about like hauling trash. It's about let's.
What does it educate them about?
Thank
So
you.
they come and they ask us questions, they say, what goes in my bin, what goes in the compost, what doesn't, what are some best
Didn't we
practices?
discuss this about 6 months ago? We talked about the schools, and somebody had the idea of having the kids bring the food waste to the school and collect it there. And they said, no, we're not gonna do that. We can't keep collecting.
No, the schools, the kids, they separate their food scraps in the cafeteria.
Right, and that's part of that grant.
And curbside compost comes and collects
That's not.
the food scraps and takes it. We pay curbside compost.
Yeah.
And it's paid for through a grant.
Yeah, we
So it's not-
have a.
But it's only.
No, when I was saying,
food-based
we wanted to have a
generated
collection box out in front of the school, we said, no, we're not doing that. Well, this is the same kind of thing, we're having a collection box at the Greenfield Hill. Is that what you're talking about, a collection box?
No.
I'm recalling the conversation, I guess, with Becky, or maybe you, that it's not, farmer's market is one thing. I mean, I don't know why there would be a lot of, people go there to buy food and take it away. I don't know why there'd be a lot of food waste.
So they come and they drop off their glass and they drop.
Oh, so okay, so you use the farmer's market to have people come and.
Right.
Satellite collection.
Okay, all right, now I'm.
So it's people that don't pay for the facility use. They don't need to get the sticker. Again, it's, we need, the transfer station is for Fairfield residents or trash made within Fairfield. But whether you're a resident or a hauler, you still have to have a permit.
Right.
There's a facility use fee.
Well, I have a question, because I think the food waste thing is very complicated, and also handling food waste is an issue. But what about, I think focusing on something that, we're still in a pilot program with the glass. I think we still would like to improve our glass pickup. And, it seems like, why don't they just focus on something that's,
Well, I think we need to focus on glass, but it doesn't mean we should turn our backs on food waste.
of course not, but there's.
But the dialogue that occurs.
Well, I would say, if we're talking about the farmer's market and we end up with a 5-pound bag of food waste,
Yeah, it's not significant. It's
Well,
more
how are we
the
talking about
conversation you're
this?
having with people.
What-
It's the education.
the,
That's what it is.
right, the issue, well, I should say a bigger issue is the food waste at the transfer station where we're paying $200 and some odd a ton to get it hauled off. But how many tons are there? You said what, in a year?
Well, 20 tons so far this year.
It's on 11 months.
So
20 tons times.
When you do that hazardous waste, just put an education table there. How many people come to hazardous waste? And then just hand out.
to be there?
I'm just telling you, stand there.
People know you.
And just hand out, information on recycling.
okay, well,
I guess I just think we're turning into people into a hauler, where that's not gonna be regular.
And
Exactly.
that's my argument too. We've gotta be fair and equitable across the board. If I'm making sure every person that comes into the transfer station has, the proper permit. Okay, cause that's my job, it's in my regulations to make sure, whether it's a hauler, they're collecting stuff, we don't know if they've paid, if they've done the fee, if they, and we don't know where it's coming from.
It's totally unregulated.
You can educate as many people as you want, but it does, it doesn't matter if if they're a hauler picking up from Fairfield, because curbside picks up for a lot of people up in Greenfield who don't bother to get the sticker to come to the transfer station. And curbside is licensed to pick up.
Well, they're not gonna come pick up 5 pounds of food scraps, and that's just silly for
But
them
if
to
we
do.
do put a bin there, maybe we'll get a lot more.
well,
food scraps.
if it's a town,
We can actually have a real legit.
But again, I can't say, okay, they can do it for free when I have to charge my haulers to haul, it's still ASW, it's still garbage.
let's get instead of the South Farmers, I remember there's some town sanctioned events where people, there's a lot of town sanctioned events.
So they were doing it there too?
Well, I think the question was, if it's a town sanctioned event, and there's garbage and there's recycles and there's food waste, why wouldn't, if it's town sanctioned, why couldn't that go to the transfer station? Or maybe it's already going there, I don't know, who picks up the trash at?
Parks and all goes, yeah.
Parks and Rec, okay.
What kind of event are you talking about?
So it's Sandtown.
Yeah, well, they have trash collectors, they hire trash
There's
collectors.
garbage everywhere.
They hire trash collectors.
What is the one she was talking about, kid, one of the ones for kids, like, what?
Sand jam.
I don't know what that is.
For university,
It's
yeah.
the one for kids.
But they hire trash collectors.
Oh, no, you don't mean it.
Little kids. that-
Yeah, they were in the summertime, the movie nights and everything else.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
And there's garbage everywhere, but after that.
And who takes care of that?
No, wait a minute, Fairfield University hires.
No.
Oh, no, we're not talking about the university, we're talking about the Parks and Rec, sand jam for the little kids down.
Parks and Rec take care of that?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Yeah,
but who's gonna,
So we talk about having food waste here
What
too?
I'm saying is these events are educational opportunities in the spirit of educating the public and getting to the bigger issue, which is.
so we can break the rules and regulations for the spirit of
That's
education.
what you're teaching.
Come up with a
We
solution.
don't need to bring the food waste to the place to teach them.
Give us a-
Yeah,
Yes, go ahead.
call curbside compost and tell them you want a bin, because curbside compost, if you pay them, they will come get 2 ounces of food.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you pay for a bucket weekly, they'll come get whatever you want, as long as it's acceptable. There could be 3 cherries in there. They
Well,
don't
the farmer's market's on the weekend.
I actually like that idea.
Usually,
It's on Monday, they'll close.
They'll come.
Nobody's bringing it to town on Sunday.
Curbside compost does the Lobster Fest in Westport, which is on the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
They send a whole truck. There's 50 carts.
and that's educational too.
Exactly.
That's right.
2,000 lobsters apiece.
Fine, if that's,
I think one thing, when we talk about education, one thing about these events, forgetting the pros or cons of food waste, you're also educating people about how to recycle properly, no plastic bags and all that. And so it's a good place to do that kind of.
I would, well, just,
Yeah.
I'm gonna, as a member of the Sustainable Fairfield Task Force, I'm gonna stick my neck out and say that there is so little food scraps being dealt with, an infinitesimal amount of food scraps. And if what we're doing is running afoul of town regulations, then either we have curbside compost do it, or some other hauler, or we don't do food scraps at the market. Simple as that.
Right.
Because this opens up a whole
Can of worms.
Pandora's box of regulations and what's right and what's wrong. And for 5 pounds of food scraps, it's just not worth it. I'm sorry.
I would imagine at a farmer's market, if people are going to buy food and take it home and eat it, and the vendors, whatever's left, they're gonna take back to where they're from.
Especially with your farmer's market.
You're saying people are coming down there and bringing
But that's what they're doing.
They're being told to, so they don't want to do that.
It's a big, they're told to do.
They're being told to do that.
A much bigger issue is the food scraps at the transfer station that's costing us 3 times the amount it actually costs to haul trash. But again, if it's 20 tons, at $250 a ton, that's $5,000. Unless I'm not, that doesn't sound like an earth-shaking amount of money.
No. And I think as time goes on, if more and more people bring more and more food waste, hopefully the economy of scale will help that somewhat, but.
We have a $5 million budget and we're worrying about $5,000.
Well, I don't think anyone's suggesting that we get rid of food waste at the transfer station.
It's a feel-good thing, it's the, it's the sustainable thing of the jour, so hopefully at some point, we could, anaerobic digestion, it's a great thing.
Right.
I was with the company when they did the one for Disney, when they did the big one in Vancouver, both of which have closed for different reasons. The one in Quantum, I want to go see that one because I understand they took a lot of the problems the other ones had and fixed them. Again, I know, because we are such an affluent town and, consumerism is a big thing. The core of it goes back to, we have to teach people to reduce consumption. You have no idea how many times I've seen a whole watermelon in the food waste because they bought it and didn't eat it. I've seen dozens of bagels because they bought them and they didn't eat it. Okay, that to me is totally defeats the purpose.
Right, but now you're trying to attack.
Like I said, we had 3 packages, big packages of ground beef still in their styrofoam plastic wrap last week. Big ones. Yeah, that was one of the pictures I sent.
So you complaining there's no grow over there?
We get a lot of group.
Yeah, a lot of grills.
Anything else? I think we've covered a lot. I think we've got good conversations here. But Misty, anything else? I
think we should be working with the state on this one and saying, look, you're asking us to reduce our waste by so much. We're struggling with trying to get this product out of our waste stream. We need some way that we can see more places like Quantum,
Well, Misty, there was a major food waste piece of legislation this year, and it didn't make the cut. I mean, we had a short session and I mean, hey, I'm with you. It's way beyond, it's beyond the pay scale of the commission, yeah, that's for sure. But yeah, I think they're hearing this from a lot of people, but it's a matter of priorities.
People don't care.
But, and again, you have to look at, all it is a shift of the carbon footprint. It's not, especially.
At this time.
At this time.
Because
Right.
because of the setup and because.
Right.
of how far, we've talked about this a million times.
Right, I mean, even like New York City, with COVID and whatnot, they opened up and allowed so many different places to compost food waste. It was the whole big push. And you have to, you have to separate your food waste in New York City. Now they're closing all those food waste facilities down because they're in violation. With stormwater and runoff and all kinds of other, reasons. Okay, so now New York City picks up food waste and it goes directly to an anaerobic digester.
Yeah, that's seems like.
Well, and frankly, digestion also is, I think, there's a lot more food waste separation in the state and the world, whatever. I think digestion is probably the better answer than compost. I mean, how much compost do people actually use? I mean, you create 10 times the compost you have today. What do you do with
It's
it?
amazing. It's like black gold.
Well-
It goes in your garden and.
Well, if you have a garden.
Well, I compost in my backyard, so all of that ends up in my
Right.
garden.
Well, I mean, in terms of central composting, you make too much of it. Frankly, one of the reasons
You never
that,
have too much compost because.
Well,
compost
Yes,
is
you can, because it's very hot and it could do more damage than,
It's-
depending on the application.
Fairfield is the
It's
only,
just carbon from the atmosphere. I mean,
And we are very lucky in Fairfield that we have the yard waste facility. We are a lot luckier than other towns.
Fairfield is the only wastewater treatment plant in the state
That
that
still
still
does,
has
yeah.
sludge composting. A lot of, there were other ones. One of the reasons that they didn't do it more of that than just incinerate sludge is because there wasn't a market for it.
Right.
And anyway, well,
And we can talk about that for hours.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody else would care about it but you and
And
I.
I think it's 8:25 and do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
I'll second it. Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you. This is a good discussion.